There's about 12 cop cars on property right now. Protesters will show up. Allegedly, in their Discord, there are supposed to be hundreds of protesters. Last year, Michael Knowles came. There were 700 protesters, so we'll see. But I don't think my blue-haired besties will be showing up today. Do I look scared of you?
Yes! That's a fake-ass smile, man!
I'm not scared of you.
That's a fake-ass smile!
I want to invite you. What do I look like?
I don't want to be invited nowhere.
Well, you can go for free.
Guess what? You will probably have me behind bars in 2 seconds.
No, actually, you could ask Candace Owens a question.
Please get that fake smile out of here. I can't tolerate it.
We watched Candace Owens' speeches in Albany.
Okay.
And we fact-checked every single thing she said.
Would you like to ask her a question yourself?
I wouldn't, because I've already heard her answer all of my questions.
Okay.
She says that there is no law stopping her because she is a black person. She says, quote, when they say institutionalized racism, I say, okay, show me the law. To provide just a couple examples of institutionalized racism, voter ID laws, such as those which require a photo ID, are an obstacle to disproportionately prevent black people from voting.
That's racist.
That's so racist. That's so racist.
Public education funding policies.
There's nobody that can't get an ID.
For students of color.
So what you're saying is racist. The fact that you think black people aren't smart enough to get IDs or cannot get IDs, there's literally a prison van that will go around and give prisoners IDs as soon as they get out. So to say that black people cannot get IDs, it's racist. It's more liberal, racist talking points.
Y'all are scared of China's supremacy, right? Every time I see a news article, either from CNN or Fox News, y'all are scared of China, so obviously they must be doing something right.
I have a question. Do you really think you would have free speech to do what you're doing right now in a communist country?
Yes, black people go over to China all the time and
That's just so ignorant. That is so ignorant. You would have no rights.
They're gonna arrest me.
They would not arrest you. You have you are standing on property right now protesting. You would not have the same rights in a communist country. You would not have any of those rights.
You're not even looking me dead in the eye. You're scared as Look me in the fucking eye.
I'm not scared of you, dude. What?
Last time I checked, when you
standing
looking
right
around
here.
like this, you're fucking scared.
I'm not scared. I'm literally right here. Do you think a 15-year-old should be allowed, a minor should be able to get a double mastectomy if they claim they're trans?
No minor is getting a double mastectomy.
So what about Chloe Cole that had a double mastectomy when she was 16 years old?
The majority of pediatric medical associations say that trans health care is an absolute necessity in order to make sure.
What is necessity about putting kids on Lupron?
Lupron is completely safe for children, and the majority of medical doctors do recommend that transgender children get gender-affirming care early in life because it prevents a slew of incredibly difficult parts of being transgender.
Do you stand with detransitioners that have come forward and are now suing their doctors who gave them gender-affirming care as a minor?
I believe that people who have decided to do something with their own body, whether they are minor or not, are able to seek legal recompense. And that is the beauty of living in this country.
Do you think a minor can actually make that decision for their body to get surgery and make life-altering decisions?
A minor can work with a team of very qualified doctors and their parents, because you are so pro-parental rights. If a parent believes that the best thing for their child, and the medical team agrees that the best thing for their child is for them to medically transition and accessing puberty blockers, which are reversible. And
they're not reversible, though, if they're changing them forever.
They are not changing them forever. Puberty blockers just prevent the.
There are minors, there are people in high school that are getting double mastectomies. Now they're getting bottom surgery in high school. Yes, they are. There are minors and people advocating for this. It doesn't matter how many. It's that there are doctors and people advocating for these trans rights.
You believe that because of your feelings.
No, not my feelings, my facts.
Your feelings about children's genders, that you should be able to dictate.
Well, not just me, millions of Americans.
Other parents are doing in their families and with their children.
No, I believe in fact, and I believe that children's innocence should be protected. I don't think that children should be able to be.
Your idea of innocence.
It's not my idea. There's millions of Americans, and there are. Do you think that children getting double mastectomies is okay?
I believe that whatever the family and the doctor decide is what should go. You should not have the right to impinge on other people's freedom of expression, their freedom to access medical care. You should not have the right to tell another parent or a doctor how they should.
No, I'm talking about children. If an adult, if you're 20 years old and you want to get a double mastectomy, do whatever you want. But a child should not.
In order to get any form of puberty blockers or transgender health care,
A 16-year-old girl can't even drive a car.
You must get parental consent.
Okay, but do you think driving a car, smoking cigarettes, alcohol, you can't even drink till you're 21 legally, but you think it's okay for puberty blockers if there's parental consent, and you think it's okay for them to go get double mastectomies and medically transition when they can't even drive? So do you think that biological men should be able to be allowed to violate female safe spaces and go into a women's restroom?
I don't believe that a bathroom is a safe space. A bathroom is a place where you piss.
So if a woman goes into a bathroom and comes in contact with a biological man who claims he's a woman but says he's trans, that should be okay?
It should, because biological men, as you call them, people with XY chromosomes, are not inherently dangerous.
Do you think that biological men should be allowed to compete against women in women's sports?
I believe that sports are an entirely different there's more differences genetically within the sexes than between them.
Do you know what percent of trans youth kill themselves without gender-affirming care?
Do you know what percentage of trans youth... I have a question with your question. Do you know how many transgender people commit suicide 5 to 10 years after their surgery because they weren't actually affirmed?
Can you answer my question first, please?
Well, I answered your question with a question. Using the suicide argument doesn't work.
The right answer. The right answer is 70% of trans youth kill themselves.
Do you not think that that's a mental health condition that should be actually treated because gender dysphoria is actually a mental disorder that should be treated properly? That's not including...
If you were mentally ill and I came up to you and said, I want to eradicate you from public life, that would be...
Who's saying that? I think transgender people need psychological help.
Okay.
I think people need therapy. I don't think they need surgeries. Okay.
Ma'am.
These are human beings.
You
need help because they're mentally ill.
I think you need help because you think
you are telling
have
me
different opinions.
That you want transgender people to get help, but when they go to get help, they have to go to someone who denies that they are transgender.
Will you admit that gender dysphoria is a mental illness?
I do not. Gender dysphoria is a social condition that you have created because what you are doing...
I created gender dysphoria.
The conservative movement has made it so unbearably difficult to be transgender that it is...
They made it hard to be transgender. I feel like trans people have more rights than anybody right now, and if anything, you apply to go to a college and you're transgender, you'll get a scholarship. You want to join the military, you can join the... Don't touch me. If you want to join the military, taxpayer dollars will pay for transitioning. The government now... In healthcare, you can get transitioning paid for. So if anything, I think trans people are being treated bigger and more.
Can you get your care paid for? If you needed help for something, would you get it paid for?
If I wanted to be transgender, yes, healthcare would pay for that.
You are not transgender, correct?
No.
Okay. So if you need medical care, you can get that accessed, correct? And you believe that you should have the right...
No, you're saying that there is genocide happening against trans people. Everyone wants to eradicate trans people. But in reality, society now promotes and encourages transgenderism more than any other medical mental illness.
The treatment that most pediatric associations recommend is puberty blockers, and before that, gender-affirming therapy, because it prevents...
Gender-affirming therapy, that's the problem.
It's not the problem, because...
Is affirming is your only option, is to change a child's gender.
It's not the only option. Conversion therapy, which is the version of therapy that convinces children that they are not transgender, is legal in the majority of states. And that...
Have you looked at how many of these children have childhood trauma and that's their reason for having gender dysphoria? So a transgender woman is turning into a woman. What is that, though? That's what I want to know.
That's called a transition.
To a woman, but what is that?
To being a woman?
Yeah.
I think if she says she's a woman, she's a woman. Because if you say you're a woman, I'm going to believe you.
Okay, but what is a woman is my point.
That's a wonderful question. I wish we knew.
We do know.
No, we
I
don't.
want to know from you. What is a woman?
I don't have to answer that question
You're a
because
biologist.
right, my job as a biologist is not to tell you what your gender is. My job as a biologist is to tell you what your sex is, and I can't do that without running a whole bunch of morphometric and genetic tests.
What's a man?
A man?
If you know someone's chromosomes, wouldn't you say man or woman?
I wouldn't, no, because there's more sexes than that. And because it's not the most ideal way of explaining sex. If we want to be able to have conversations about sex, we need to be more nuanced.
So if someone is transitioning, male to female, female to male, I'm a woman, I want to be a man, what does that look like then? If we don't know what a woman is, then what are these men trying to turn into women? What is that?
It can look
for different people.
It can look like
It
a lot
looks
of
different
things.
for different
And
What does that look like?
It looks like anyone, you can take any transgender person and you can look at their experience and that is what it looks like for them. I cannot make a blanket
So you're
statement.
dumbing down womanhood to a costume, wearing makeup, lashes, having your nails done, going shopping, having boobs, that's a
I
woman?
have no makeup on. I have nothing. I identify as a transgender woman. I identify as a woman. I don't wear any of
So you're a
that.
biological male and you now identify as a woman.
My biology shouldn't matter to you because you have nothing to do with my biology.
So what about you makes you a woman?
Because that's how I feel the most comfortable.
So what I'm
When
asking
you call me a male, then I feel uncomfortable. It's as simple as that. And
I'm
when you
asking
call
what
me a
qualities make you a woman?
When you call me a woman, I feel comfortable. And then
qualities make you a
it's
woman?
that simple. Would you like it if I called you a man?
No, because I'm not a man.
Right.
I am a woman. I was born with breasts and a vagina, and I have XX chromosomes.
Okay. So
The only difference between you and me is the way we were born. Okay? In our womenhood, the only way, the difference.
Saying that you're a woman is not biology.
right, but
I'm not
gender,
talking about biology.
Gender
I'm
is not
talking about gender theory.
biological. If you want to talk about sex,
So then what is the feeling of being a woman if it's not biological? What is the feeling of being a woman?
Comfortable. It's feeling comfortable. I feel comfortable as a woman. When people call me she, her, I feel comfortable. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. Is that
So
reason?
all a woman is feeling comfortable.
That's what it is to me, and it can mean different things to different people.
we're
You
telling
need to
you
understand that it's diverse.
yes, gender is something that is incredibly culturally specific. So what it means to be a woman for you is probably different from what it means to be a woman in a different country.
But then how are we supposed to operate if there's no sense of absolute truth of what a woman is?
That's a wonderful question. I think that we can look at more nuanced indicators of what we're talking about, right? So if you're talking about your reproductive rights, we can talk about people with uteruses, right? But if you're talking about the experience of having long hair, we could say we're talking about people with long hair, right? If we're talking about people who have feminine interests, right? You were talking about makeup or whatever.
See, I think there can be a man who is more feminine, and I think there can be a woman who is more masculine, but there needs to be an absolute truth of what is a woman and what is a man.
There doesn't need to be an absolute truth. You're instilling this idea inside yourself that there needs to be an absolute truth.
Yeah.
There are many absolute truths. Like
But you can't even tell me what a woman is.
Right. So that's because that's objective. In other languages, the word woman exists only in that language, right? If I go to France, I'm going to say femme, not woman. So woman is not an objective truth. It is a culturally defined group.